This is brought to you by Patriot Mobile, the phone service of America's Freedom Tribute. Use code AFT for your first month free. Welcome back. I'm Dorina Federici, and this is Let's Talk About Veterans, because their stories matter. So today is totally different. I don't have a guest next to me. It's just me. And we're going to be talking about the amazing tribute that is coming here to Wethersfield, July 23rd to the 26th. It'll be on Main Street, 200 Main Street, where the Keeney Center is, and it's 24 hours, so you can come visit these tributes any time of day, any time of night, and we will be there to help you. But I'm just going to go over, because this is going to be amazing. I would love to see as many of you as possible to be part of our escort, which will be Thursday, July 23rd. We're going to meet at the Wethersfield High School on Walcott Hill Road at about 11 a.m. Then probably about 11:45 or so, we're going to leave there. We're going to go down Walcott Hill. From there to Church Street. We're going to cross the Silestine Highway into Main Street all the way to the Keeney Center. So let's make this a wonderful, large escort. Come and enjoy it, because it is really fun to be part of that escort. Then we're going to just set up those tributes at around 12, so, right after we get there. And then at 4 p.m., they are actually going to be closing the road. They will be closed from Church Street to Center Street, because at 6 o'clock, we're going to be honoring our first responders. And we will be having families of first responders that have lost their lives. So as far as police go, Bobby Garton's family will be there, and we're going to be honoring him. And then as far as fire, for those first responders, we're going to be honoring Captain Stanley Wells, and I have a date here of January 10th, 1928. Then we have engineer Michael, and I think it's Mele or Mealy, and again, I am so sorry if I'm saying this wrong, and we have a date of March 10th, 1969. And of course, engineer Robert Sharkovich Sr., who passed away October 22nd, 2024. So we're going to be honoring them. We're going to have special readings going on, honoring our first responders, and we are calling it dedicated to our guardians of our community. We're going to have a bagpiper there, so Pat Whalen is going to be there with the bagpipes again. And then at 8 p.m., we will be having taps. So we're so excited to have Andrew back, and he will be doing taps 8 p.m. every night. And then 7 a.m. he will be doing reveille, and I love that. So please make sure you come here for that. Then on Friday, that day is totally veterans. It's going to be so exciting to see it. We're going to have Forever in My Heart Foundation service dogs for vets. They're going to be there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in that time frame. They will be there. And then we're going to have Dominic Giuliano. He's a VFW Connecticut State Quartermaster. He'll be talking about membership and services that they have. And we do supposedly have a flyover at around noontime. We're not quite sure, but supposedly a flyover will happen. And then at 1 p.m. we have Commissioner Ronald Welch of the Connecticut Department of Veteran Affairs, and he will be speaking to us. And then at 2 p.m., Jerry Augustine will be talking about Agent Orange and the challenges with having Agent Orange. The other person at 2:30 is Dr. Linda Schwartz. She's a retired VA Assistant Secretary for Policy and Planning and former Connecticut Commissioner of Veteran Affairs. 4 o'clock, this could be tentative, I'm not sure, but we have Colonel Chester Fife and Drum. And we all love them, right? We all love them. The music is just unbelievable. And then the Governor's Foot Guard at 6 p.m. And again, taps at 8. 7 a.m. would be reveille, 8 p.m. taps. Then we're going to go on to Saturday. I'm very excited about Saturday. There's something that, number one, it's the book walk happening in Old Wethersfield on Main Street, which will be fantastic. You're going to have all these authors there, and you're also going to have authors that have written military books, or they are veterans that wrote books, so they will be there too, and I think it's so exciting to intertwine these two together. I'm excited about that. So that will be going on, again, 7 a.m. We'll be having our reveille. And I'm just going to read you this thing. And did you know that women played a huge and often under-recognized role in the Vietnam War, both militarily and culturally? They were essential to survival, worked under combat conditions, and carried invisible wounds long after the war ended. About 11,000 U.S. military women served in Vietnam, with the vast majority being nurses, part of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and many worked very close to combat zones and evacuation hospitals, field hospitals, and on hospital ships. They treated massive trauma injuries and formed close bonds with soldiers who often died despite their efforts, which took a heavy emotional toll. PTSD among Vietnam nurses was real, but long ignored, partly because their suffering didn't fit the traditional image of combat trauma. When they returned home, many faced the same hostile or indifferent reception as the male veterans, sometimes worse, because their service was doubted or minimized. Vietnam changed military nursing forever. Trauma care, emergency medicine, and triage techniques advanced rapidly. And that's why I am dedicating that Saturday to honoring the women of our military. So we will be having at 2:30, the Connecticut Bells will be performing, and they're just like the Andrews Sisters. So for an hour, you're going to hear that music we heard during World War II with Chattanooga Choo Choo, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, and patriotic songs. So I'm so excited to have the Connecticut Bells here for that. Then we're going to have Jacqueline Hubbard. She's Executive Artistic Director of the Ivoryton Playhouse, and she's going to be talking about the play that's going to be there called Speaking About Women in War, and it's all about nurses in the war. So I am so excited to hear her speak. And then we have Norman Needleman. He will be there. He's also becoming with Jackie. And then at about 4:45, we're going to start honoring our nurses. There are 8 nurses on the Vietnam Wall. I did not know that until this tribute came last year, and I learned about these 8 nurses. So we are going to make these 8 nurses in the first tense, I guess that's what you would call it. So we're going to read their stories as if they were telling you their story. And I putting it together, it was just fabulous to put it together and make these women come alive, and that's what I'm hoping you will get from it. So you will hear their stories. There's also donut dollies. Did you know what they were? Well, they were there to help morale, and 3 of the donut dollies died in Vietnam. Not on the wall because they weren't military. So you're going to learn about those 3 donut dollies. You're going to hear about them. And then we also have Rosie the Riveters. How many of you don't know who Rosie the Riveter is? Well, you know what? Those are the women who held the home front during World War II while their men were off to war. And you're going to learn about Rosie the Riveters during that time on Saturday. And then we have the Nurses Honor Guard. I am so excited about this. They actually go to funerals of nurses that have passed, and they do a beautiful ceremony, and they will be there to honor the 8 nurses that died in Vietnam. So be there for that. Again, Saturday will be an amazing day. And then again, 8 p.m., we're going to have our taps. Sunday, 7 a.m., we're going to have a reveille. We're going to honor these women again. I'm not sure what format we're going to take, but we are going to honor the women again. And then Jennifer Glick, who was a nurse in Vietnam, a psychiatric nurse. You probably saw her on my podcast before. She has some poems that she has written about Vietnam, about her time there. She's going to be reading a couple of her poems for us, and that's just going to be beautiful. And then at around 3 p.m., we're going to start taking down the tribute. And that will be the end of our 4 days. But this will be so amazing. There's so much other stuff that I have not mentioned that will happen. And I'm so excited for everybody to be part of this, to be there. Bring your families. If you want to come for the escort, maybe you have an antique car, bring that. Motorcycle, bring that. Maybe it's your e-bike. Come on your e-bike, because we're going to go nice and slow. You can come on that. But let's honor our veterans, our first responders, and let's show them how much we appreciate everything they have done for us. If you would like to donate to helping to bring this tribute here, because there are other expenses besides just paying for that tribute to come here, you can go ahead and send a check in my name, Dorina Federici, but in the memo put Freedom Tribute, and that will get into the account of Freedom Tribute. My address is 89 Rutledge Road here in Wethersfield, 06109, and it should be on the bottom of the screen to help you with that. And again, no donation is too small. $5, $10, whatever you can afford, it would be much appreciated. And I thank you ahead of time for that. It would be great. And then on that day that we're honoring first responders and we're closing down the street for that, again, there are things, I can't say what's happening because they're all special events that we are all the committee is putting together, and you just have to be there to see everything that is going to be done that day. Let's pray for good weather. It's okay if it's hot, just no thunderstorms. We don't want what we just had this past weekend, no thunderstorms, no lightning, but we will be there. And I do also need volunteers for security. Now, security, it's really not what you kind of think it would be. It's just a matter of being there in the middle of the night. They're 2-hour shifts, 3 people at a time, and it's just being there just for vandalism, things like that. That may happen. The police are also going to be around, so you don't have to worry about that. But they're just 2-hour shifts. And a lot of us have already signed up, but there's a lot of space that's still open at night. And I will put the Sign Up Genius link. I don't know if it'll work that way, you have to type it in, but I'll put it into this podcast so you can see it and you can sign up. Again, just 2 hours. And we have so much fun. It is really nice. The tribute will be lit up, so it just gives you a beautiful aura of just being around it. So I want to thank you. I know this is a little on the shorter side, but I did want to give you a little update on what is going on and how excited we all are. And also, there was one other thing that I wanted to tell you, that we're also honoring the women that died in Afghanistan and Iraq, and there were 263 women that died. We're going to be honoring, I believe it's like 6 of them. We're going to be talking about who they were. So we're going to give you a little bit of information on them. Again, it's just to make us all aware of the women that also fought for our country one way or another. They kept the home front going while their men were away, or they were right there in the front lines, or they went there, they volunteered just to keep the morale up for our boys. So I want to thank you all. Please keep our troops and their families in your prayers. Let's hope that they all come home soon and everybody is safe. And again, if you have any idea for a podcast, please email me at dfederici.aft@gmail.com. Visit us at americasfreedomtribute.org and our YouTube channel, America's Freedom Tribute-AFT. And again, this podcast is brought to you by Patriot Mobile, the phone service of America's Freedom Tribute. Until next time, I want to thank you for listening. And remember, veterans' voices matter today and every day. Until next time.